you managed to get the angles all around, everything blends in, and you're absolutely right. It looks like it was designed like that from the factory, like it came to it. Hey everybody, welcome to Whiskey, Lead, and Steel, Feelings Hurt While You Wait, the official podcast of Aggressive Defensive Solutions. I'm Rick Sutton, and joining me today is Mike Brini from Firearms Performance Enhancements. You've heard of them before. What we've said is if you have a firearm and you want to make it better, Mike Brini's the guy to call, because Mike can fix anything. Right, Mike?
If you say so, Richard.
There you go. So Mike's come out before and told us about some stuff, some things that are available through Firearms Performance Enhancements, and jumping right into it today. Since you were last out, you started development on a set of compensators for the Glock pistols and then the SIG 320 series.
Yep.
If you could tell us a little bit about, how you decided to get into that and, how it developed, and then tell us why it's, in my opinion, the best compensator that's out there for the weapon system, and then where we can get one, or where they can get one. I know where I can get one. I know a guy.
Well, thanks, Rick. And the compensator idea was started because I was already building some custom 320s for a local company, a gun club, for their pro shop. And I was using another compensator that was designed supposedly specifically for the 320.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked good, and it performed okay. But there was still something that just didn't look exactly right.
Okay.
It was, I would call it more of a universal type product than a gun specific product. Okay. And after contacting that company to see if I could purchase more on a wholesale level, because I was basically just trading dollars at that point. I was buying at their retail and just selling it to my customer at that same retail. They just wanted an astronomical purchase from them to be able to get a very small percentage of a discount, which didn't seem like a good business idea to me. And so I just decided to keep buying onesies and from them. And then one day this guy comes in the shop and for me to mill a couple of slides for him and his son. He wanted to get into shooting with his son. He was a former teams guy. And so I was telling him about this compensator because he was telling me that he owns a CNC machine shop right here in Virginia Beach.
Oh, wow.
And he did a lot of government contract work. So I said, well, this is what I got. I said, do you think maybe, you can make something like this, but let me do some design changes? And he was like, sure, come on down. So we went and did a couple of engineering sessions with a couple of his engineering wizard guys, and my designs came to life. And before I pick one up, I just want to let everybody know we've already safety checked these guns. Mm-hmm. They're clear.
Oh yeah, everything's clear.
All right. Yeah. And this is pretty much how it worked out. This is designed. This is my first design for the 320. All the lines line up perfectly. If you're looking at this, you'll notice that these serration cuts are not factory cuts. I went ahead and enhanced those myself. But you can see that this compensator looks like it was made for this gun.
Mm-hmm. So aesthetics was part of the original factor too, right?
Yes. Well,
because you didn't want something that looked clunky and just looked like it had been hung on the gun.
I don't like afterthought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing that kind of hit me, Rick, was customers, the ones that are really gun people, mm-hmm. they spend a lot of money on their stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they want it a specific way, whether it be a form, function, combination thereof. I saw that people were really particular about how they wanted their gun not just to feel and operate, but to look. Mm-hmm. And they liked the continuity of the design. And so I said, well, if we're going to make compensators or any parts for a gun, why wouldn't it be specific for that gun and not only perform, but look like it ought to look on that gun?
Yeah.
And I think, thanks be to God, I believe that we've accomplished that with this product.
Oh, yeah.
What was kind of neat about this one, we learned a lot about compensators on this gun right here.
Yes, we did.
playing with the port design was probably the biggest thing. I don't want to call it trouble, but it was certainly a big learning experience to get it to cycle properly using a factory spring. And you can do that as long as you're running, for example, on this gun, 124 grains. It seems to run really good with a factory spring. But if you go to 115, which is a little bit less consistent of a round, you want to put our spring kit in here.
Okay.
And we feel like we're measurably getting about 40% recoil reduction on this gun with this compensator. And then
that's across all of your loads?
no, we know it's 40% on the 124s.
Okay. All right.
So it's not been measured on the 115s.
Okay.
Now on the full size, it's even more recoil reduction because you've got more weight here. Yeah. And as you can see, all the lines line up real nice and pretty. And it's just a good overall product. We're very pleased with the way this turned out. And we were able to get it into the largest distributor of guns and gun products in the country.
Nice.
Via another contact that I have made. I've gotten hooked up with a company called Backup Tactical. And what Backup Tactical does is they are I call him a premier manufacturer as far as barrels, magazine extensions. He, funny enough, he first got into the industry with thread protectors.
Yeah.
What some might consider a little product that nobody cared about turned out to be a product that a lot of people cared about.
Oh yeah. If you've got a threaded barrel and you're not running a compensator or running a can full time, that's absolutely an important piece of gear.
Yeah.
So to step back onto this one, so I know you got started on the 320 system, and then that bled over to Glock because for whatever reason lots of people carry Glocks. I don't know why, but they do. So you'd said that as long as you're running the 124s and 9mm, you're getting good recoil reduction, and you can run factory springs off of your SIG platforms.
In the SIG platform, that's correct.
What about in the Glock platform?
Well, the Glock platform is different, and I'll actually show you why. When you are talking about a Glock, it unlocks very quick and easy. The SIG, it looks like it would, but it actually is a delayed unlock.
Yeah.
And that is where the problem was with the SIG and why we had to change spring when we went down to 115, because it just wouldn't quite unlock fast enough, and consequently that delay, by then your pressure's already bled off, or enough pressure had already bled off that it wouldn't cycle correctly. The Glock, nuh-uh. This is, I don't know if you can see this. I want you to look, if you will, and just look at the port sizes. And you'll see which port's bigger.
Yeah, the Glock is clearly looks like an overall bigger port.
It is volume-wise, it is much, much larger. And what's funny is you might think, well, it's still running the same 9mm rounds as the SIG is.
But it's moving a different amount of gas.
But it's moving a whole different amount of gas. This thing here is guaranteed 60% recoil reduction.
Nice.
Factory spring,
all the way around.
115 loads.
Nice.
It unlocks really fast. It makes it a much faster running gun. It is much more level. Your time back on target is immensely faster.
Nice.
And as you can see, it's a very good, clean.
Yeah, the aesthetics on both of those are impressive. One of the things that I find interesting about them, what I like about them, and full disclosure, I'm not a big compensator guy. I recognize that they absolutely have their place, and I recognize that they're a valuable tool. I'm a bone stock kind of guy. If I were back to shooting, if I were no longer retired from competing, if I were running open guns, there's no doubt about that I'd run a compensator on it.
You'd almost have to nowadays.
Yeah, but I'm a bone stock kind of guy. But one of the things that I noticed is, so and I don't know if the camera picks up on it, but when we look at the front of the slide on both of these weapon systems, you know, they're not just squared off, you know, and then kind of softened so that they don't cut you when you pick them up. There's some geometry to both of them, and in both of these cases, one of the things that I think is really cool, not only from a functional design but also from an artistic aspect of it, is these your compensators, when they close up, I mean they almost look exactly like just a piece of the slide. You manage to get the ports, or not the ports, but the angles all around. Everything blends in, and you're absolutely right. It looks like it was designed like that from the factory, like it came to it. What I know about compensators, though, is most compensators that I've dealt with in the past, you run like a crush washer or some kind of set of shims on them.
Right.
How do you achieve that level of lockup consistency?
Well, that was one of the other things that I disliked about some of the other compensators that I had been dealing with, was the fact that you had to time them with shims, just like you have to time something with a shim on a rifle or whatever, or as you said, crush washer, but you can't use a crush washer on this. And something I've learned about crush washers that kind of makes me never want to use one again, is that a crush washer has inconsistencies in the way it crushes. And to get perfect lineup between the barrel bore and the bore in your compensator, your exit in your compensator, especially when you're using an adapter for a can, the crush washer does not get you perfectly perpendicular to the shoulder of the barrel. And I've actually had that come back to bite me, not with suppressors, because I don't use them with suppressors, but just by putting a muzzle brake on a rifle barrel that I had threaded, it came back with inaccuracy problems.
Oh, wow.
And when I put the alignment rod in there, you could see it was off center.
Oh, wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't understand, because, man, I go through great lengths to make sure that these barrels are dialed in properly before I cut threads. And so I took it off and just screwed it up to the shoulder and put the rod back in it, and it was perfect alignment. So the thread itself does give you the concentricity that you need, that alignment, but as far as the angular, you have to butt it up on that shoulder to get that alignment.
Okay.
And a crush washer is not the product to use to try to get that.
Cool. So then how do you mount these so that they don't go anywhere?
Well,
they don't unscrew.
I wanted to try set screws.
Okay.
You know? So we use 2 set screws. This is the Glock. We provide a couple of set screws, and I don't know how well you can see, but they go basically on an angle like this and like that.
Okay.
And they go in perfect, right in the dead center of that barrel.
Okay.
We use Loctite on the screws.
Okay.
You torque them down to about, with this size screw, it's a number 6, so you want to torque it down to about 18 to 20 inch-pounds.
Okay.
And actually, my partner has been running these without Loctite. He got over 500 rounds without it coming loose.
Nice.
So, but the Loctite really helps. And then the other cool thing about this is when you have one where you've got shims on it, you have to Loctite the thread on the barrel to the thread in here so it doesn't back off. And then it's very difficult to get this off
for cleaning
if you want to disassemble. I mean, yeah, you can field strip it and field clean it with it still attached, but it's not optimal.
Well, I mean, you're not going to be able to get the barrel out to clean it.
Exactly. Well, not totally out, but you can get it apart enough to where you can clean the inside of the barrel. But
you can't do a Marine Corps clean on it.
Right. Exactly. So far it's testing out really good. I mean, I even go a step further on my guns. And you got to be real careful. And I don't really advise this unless you're really, really good with a hand drill and a drill bit. Is I'll just use a drill bit to just put a little bit of dimple on the barrel, just a little bit, to make a seat for that.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't spin at all if you do that until you loosen that screw. But you got to be careful because barrels are thin. 9mm barrels are thin, so you just barely put a little bit of dimple in there, and it works pretty good. And did that both with this and that. And there's all kinds of variations out in the market. We've seen different folks do different things, and if you go beyond simple, it costs a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the other things to think about is, when you're involved in these sports or whatever, time costs money, energy costs money. There are guys that you pay just to think. I recognize that. Now, where can folks pick up your compensators?
Well, if you live in the Hampton Roads area, they are available at both of the Superior Pawn and Gun.
Mm-hmm.
They stock them along with the Backup Tactical threaded barrels. That's what his logo looks like.
Okay.
And I would strongly recommend using this barrel with these compensators because the shoulder stick out from the front is perfect so that these screws line up on the outside diameter of the barrel, not the thread.
Got it. Okay.
I would say that would probably be very important. And I have tried them with other manufacturers' barrels. Most factory barrels work just fine, but then I've seen them that come through where the barrel was really kind of a design for a suppressor.
Mm-hmm.
And a suppressor threaded barrel sticks out further than a barrel that's designed for a compensator. And the problem with that is the compensator ends up sticking off the barrel like that, you know. So, and we're trying to keep as much, as close as we can to be effective. The other thing you'll notice, if you won't be able to see it here, but once you get one of these things, you look and you see the end of the barrel is right at the opening of that port.
Okay.
When the barrel sits back further,
mm-hmm.
as the gas comes through and hits the threads,
mm-hmm.
not only does it leave char on those threads, but the thread creates turbulence as it comes out. And something that I learned is that flow is very important on this thing, not just to get it out fast, but to not have turbulence.
Mm-hmm.
That changes the dynamic of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah,
that
absolutely.
Turbulence does.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people who are not involved in the engineering aspect of shooting take into account, internal, external, and terminal ballistics, and so one of the things that people probably don't think about this is once you leave the muzzle, you go from internal ballistics to external ballistics. So I think most people think of a compensator of, well, it's just part of the barrel. Well, no, it's not, because you're changing the dynamic of the pressure, you're changing the dynamic of the gas, and all that comes into play. It's kind of like one of the things that I found years ago shooting shotguns was if you can slow down the wadding so that the wadding leaves the barrel after the pellets leave the barrel in a shotgun, it has a huge impact on your pattern.
Absolutely. It's not a steering influence anymore.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that you really got to take that into account. And I don't know that a lot of people do. But fortunately, there are guys like you who are engineers and shooters who figure that out and work into that. So we can get these. So you can get the barrels and you can get the compensators in Tidewater at Superior Pawn.
Yes. Also at Freedom Outdoors.
Okay. Can you, and obviously you can get this on the internet?
Absolutely. Backuptactical.com. Jason ships every day. All you got to do is go on there, see what he's got, and place your order, and it'll be out the next day.
Now, can they get instead of having to buy two pieces, can they just, is there a package out now where a barrel and compensator come in the same box already?
No. But all you got to do is just...
Is that something that you're working on?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Actually, we're working on developing more different compensators.
Okay. Fair enough.
In fact, we have one that just came off the line, and it's out for engraving and finishing right now.
Nice. And that's for the Glock, what?
43X.
Glock 43X. It looks like you got one right there.
I do.
In the white.
And this, yeah, in the white. This one's shiny. This one was the first one off the machine. It looks, as you can see, an awful lot like its big brother or medium brother. Everybody was saying after they shot this 19 that, are you going to do one for the 43? And honestly, I hadn't given it much thought. But, you know, this is a very snappy gun.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Very, very snappy. I mean, because you've got a lot less size.
Yeah, way less.
A lot less weight. Same round, same velocity. And this here, wow. I just can't believe how well that this performs on this gun. And I found it out by putting one of these on here, and it ran, except for it was fat.
Yeah.
And so it didn't take too much to trim it down. We noticed that when we trimmed it down, it made it thin on the sides. So we had to make the port a little bit smaller, and just a little bit. And I went out and retested it, and it just didn't perform exactly like it did before. So I made this 30 thousandths of an inch longer, which gave me my volume back on my port. And this thing runs like a champ, and it is very, very easy to handle. The other benefit of this particular design is it's tapered here. It's tapered here. I don't know if you can see, but that's a 15-degree angle right there. Comes in and out of the holster really nice and slick. You don't have any hang-ups of any kind. Just improves your shooting experience altogether.
So that seems to me like and I don't think there are a lot of them, but this seems like it is to me. This seems like a viable addition to a legitimate carry gun.
I think so too. That's my opinion. I hope other people will at least try it. You know.
Well, I can tell you right now, Aggressive Defensive Solutions would be willing to take one out and put our teeth on it.
Well, I want to get these comps involved in y'all's matches and in your training regimen, that kind of thing too.
Love to do that, absolutely.
Sure, absolutely.
So to that end, so we know that we can go to Superior Pawn or we can go on the interwebs and find this stuff. But if I want to come to your shop,
yes,
right? If I bring in my 320 or my Glock or whatever it is, and I want to get it so it looks exactly like it belongs on my gun. So say barrel, compensator, and a single color Cerakote for all of the aforementioned. That's something that you can do.
Absolutely.
Right. Ballpark figure. What is something like that you think?
So retail on the barrel is $150, which is a very, very, very good price.
Oh, yeah.
On a high quality threaded barrel.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
My compensator is also $149.99.
Okay.
That's the retail price.
Okay.
If you buy it through one of the local retailers, or if you buy it from Backup Tactical online, it has the Backup Tactical logo and part number on it.
Okay.
We did that for marketing purposes because Jason at Backup Tactical, he's already got a really good foothold in the market and with distributors. And so we decided to market it with him, and we're really glad we did.
Yeah, yeah.
If you come to my shop and get it, it'll have the FPE logo on it.
Way cool.
And I've got them all in stock along with Jason's barrels, and they're ready to go. So you're looking at $300. There's no labor to install it and to time it properly if you let me do it on the spot. As far as Cerakote goes, if you have a special Cerakote color on your slide and you wanted to Cerakote that, I'd be happy to do that. There's just a minimal charge for that.
Cool. Outstanding. So, all right. So it works like a champ and does all the things that you want it to do.
Yes, sir. And that's, you can't get any better than that.
No, and it's obviously affordable. And let's talk about that. One of the things to think about is if you are involved in, and I think probably the majority of the civilian guns that are carrying compensators are sport guns.
Absolutely.
They're guns people are
Absolutely.
shooting competitively. If you've gone to the trouble of joining a shooting competition organization and you train and you go out and you shoot in competitions, that's your thing. Realistically, $300 to greatly improve and mitigate muzzle cut and recoil management and have a direct impact on your split times, which, if you cut 0.02 of a second off of every split time over the course of an entire day, you start cutting down full seconds. $300 that's money well spent, quite honestly.
People are spending a lot more than that just in their carry rig.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly. So, cool. Well, anything else?
Well, yeah, I wanted to say, while it is true that this is a great option for somebody in the competitive world, okay, if you're just going out to the range, what you'll experience using this product at the range is you're much quicker on your follow-up shots. Mm-hmm. But your recoil management effectiveness is going to be so much better that you're going to be able to gain so much more confidence with your shooting.
Okay.
I would challenge you to take either one of these weapons with a standard length barrel, no compensator, and go out and just dump a magazine at 7 yards at your target, and then put one of these on and dump your magazine at that target and tell me what your group difference is.
Group and time, yeah.
And group and time makes all the difference when it comes to confidence.
Yes, it absolutely does.
I mean, as an instructor, there's nothing, I know you can see the smile on people's faces and their confidence and shooting improve as their group's starting to tighten and they're hitting more in the A zone.
And one of the things that is interesting about that is the cascade effect that you get from that. So when people come out and they start shooting well and they start shooting faster, they quit worrying about that.
Exactly.
And they start focusing on other things, and then they get better across the board.
Because they get their head in the game.
Sure, absolutely. Because they're not worried
you
about
just
one
get your head in the game and forget about all of that other stuff and have some fun, man.
There you go. Absolutely. So Lee will put a link on this, but Firearms Performance Enhancements.
FPEguns.com.
And info at FPEguns.com is the way to get a hold of you.
Yep, if I ever look at my email.
If you ever look at your email. and you're in Virginia Beach. What are your hours? When are you open?
I am Wednesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
All right.
I do work at my home, so you will need to call me prior to coming by. And don't text the first time.
That's right. But so while we're at it, so in addition to these cool ass compensators that are just game changing, you do everything at your shop, right? In addition to Cerakote.
I do, yes. So, I try to be a full service shop. When I first got into business, I really didn't want to turn anything down. I mean, look, when you're starting to try to make a living on your own, you don't want to say no to much of anything, So as this has grown and we're down in past our 7th year.
Wow. Tough to believe it's been that long.
Yeah, I swear.
So you mill for slides, mill for optics rather, for handguns, carbines, shotguns, the whole shebang. You do some porting on shotguns.
I do.
You do porting on rifles.
Speaking of milling slides, if you don't mind, I brought one with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is just a Gen 5 Glock and an RMR. And you can see my cut right there. And I just wanted to show you the type of tolerances that I'm able to hold. This thing is a perfect...
There you go.
It's a perfect slip fit. No screws. Won't fall off. Of course, you got to have screws to run it, but the advantage of this is real simple. You can take the screws off of this thing, you can change your battery, you can put it back on, and you will be so close to the Z that you were at before, it won't even be funny. Where I've noticed about, for example, the MOSs or some of these various manufacturers' adapter plates, because what they're doing is they have to kind of universalize things, And so you might set it on that plate, and you'll feel it, man, and you can hear it moving.
Yeah.
And even though you got screws on it, the screws is not what dictates its position.
Yeah.
It just holds it from flying up. But this pocket acts as a recoil lug.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So anyway, that's the kind of tolerances that I hold, and we hold those same tolerances with our products as well.
Yep. Cool. Excellent. Anything else?
Well, I just want to thank you for your friendship, Rick.
Absolutely.
I mean, you've been a really good friend and a proponent of FPE and all that I do. And I know I told you a long time ago I wasn't trying to
build an empire.
to build an empire, but it is
well
slowly turned into that.
Here's the running joke on that. So Mike and I started hanging out, working with each other, and doing different stuff. And Mike said, "I don't want to build an empire. I'm not looking to do a whole bunch of stuff." And I was like, "Okay." And then I came over and he was like, "Hey, I just got this new machine." And all I know is the machines are intricate and you need way more knowledge than I have to use them. So Mike goes, "I got this new machine that'll do these 1,700 things." I'm like, "That's awesome. What are you going to do with that?" "Well, I'm going to do these things." Like, that sounds like empire. No, I'm not building an empire. And not long later, he's like, "Hey, I need you to come over and help me move. I bought a lathe. I got to do this. Hey, I got this new thing. Hey, I'm looking at building a new paint cabinet." I'm like, "Wow, it's a good thing you're not building an empire."
Well, maybe I'm lying to myself, Rick.
But I got to, so all kidding aside, I think what has happened is I think you, and this is a good thing to be. I think you are, and victim is the wrong thing to say, but I think you are. What's happening is the result of your success. You and I have been working together, doing the various things that we've done, and I have noticed, because I work with you on Thursdays, I come in and I like sweep up and scut work. But one of the things that I've noticed is every job that comes in, you pay attention to it like it's the first job anybody ever asked you to do. Your attention to detail, your interest in it. I've never seen you slap anything together. I've never seen you just go, whatever, and just go through the motions. And the result of that is, I think everybody who's ever done any business with you, number one, the work is always good work. It's always excellent work. Number two, you always take the time to talk to people, and so they understand that the work you do for them is clearly as important to you as it is to them. And I think that that leads to people, and I know I'm certainly one of the guys who says this. When somebody goes, "Hey, I got to get X, Y, or Z done," I go, "I know a guy who can do that for you." And if I don't know that you can do it, I go, "I'm not sure that Mike can do that for a fact, but chances are that he can, and he'll do good work." So I think that's one of the reasons I like working around you and being around you and hanging out with you, is that's part of your character. You're a good human being and a decent guy, and you're conscientious. So your personality lends itself to good work, and then you do good work. I'm serious about my work. I appreciate other people who are serious about their work. I've learned a ton of stuff. I'm a shooter. I'm a shooter and an instructor. That's my skill set. It's been enhanced by learning some of the mechanical stuff from you.
And you will learn more.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, it's one of those things where we're understanding how this piece of machinery works then gives me greater insight into how to better utilize it. And I appreciate that. And it's information that, 27 years in the Marine Corps, 27 years in the military, 18 in the Marine Corps, I didn't get that aspect of it from it. What I got was end state user and how to make it, how to make effective use of it. But now I'm learning about how the machinery works, and that actually helps me teach people to shoot better. So I appreciate that.
Well, so, I'm glad to have you, Rick. I hope you'll show up again. But I would like to say one more thing about that in particular. I make no bones about that. I love the Lord, and I appreciate what He's done for me. And the Bible does say that we should do everything as unto the Lord. So I want to do my work for other people just like I'm doing it for Him.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I think as long as I do that, I think it'll turn out just fine.
I think it will.
And people do definitely appreciate it.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, you do good work. I've heard you say this before, that you feel blessed. You clearly
I am
are.
blessed.
You
I am
clearly
blessed.
are blessed. All right. Well, hope you found this educational, informational. If you have a problem with a gun, Mike can fix it.
FPEguns.com.
He can make your gun faster, better, cooler looking. And I would imagine, I'm not going too far out on a limb, that these are not the last compensator systems you're going to see from FPE.
Hopefully not.
In the future, Mike and I already talked about this, there will be a podcast. AgDef Saul and the crew, we're going to take some of your gear out and put our teeth on it and come back and tell us,
Let's let it rip. Let's beat them to death.
All right. You guys be safe. Hope you enjoyed it. I don't think anybody's feelings got hurt. I'm sorry, I got to make sure. Bursa Thunderers suck. So there you go. That's our disclaimer. All right, everybody. You guys be safe. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Have a good time. And in both of these cases, one of the things that I think is really cool, not only from a functional design, but also from an artistic aspect of it, is these your compensators, when they close up, I mean, they almost look exactly like just a piece of the slide.